On balance, Joss Whedon doesn't regret his Avengers experience. He was successful long before taking on the franchise, but it still catapulted him from a TV producer with some wins and some losses into the exclusive club of billion-dollar directors. But this greater level of success brought some frustrations with it. Almost every report on Whedon before, during, and after the film's release has stressed how exhausting it was. Making Avengers 3 would be 4 years of my life, he said, after which I would be 20 years older. That's not happening then, but with his addition to DC's Justice League as stand-in director, will he ever truly leave the superhero world behind? I'm Ben from Whatculture, and here are 6 things Joss Whedon hated about the Avengers. Number 6. Hawkeye's virus arrow. As usual, when telling stories about super teams that put ordinary humans side by side with gods, there's a certain pressure to make the humans impressive enough to keep up or at least contribute to the story. This was especially challenging with Hawkeye in the first film because he is a stupid archer man. His assault on the helicarrier, firing an explosive arrow into the kind of wind resistance you encounter at 7 miles altitude, is very impressive, taking out one of the engines on his first try. But Whedon seemed, upon reflection, to find Hawkeye's next move a little too impressive. Sneaking into position near the cockpit, Hawkeye lets fly with an explosive arrow, then a second arrow that strikes a special port in one of the computers. On impact, the arrowhead sticks out prongs that fit into the port in another of the engines, immediately dies, sending the helicarrier hurtling out of the sky. What? It's a virus arrow, Whedon jokes on the commentary. That could totally happen. Don't make fun of me. Number 5. The Invisible Spider-Man and Captain Marvel. The end of the second film is a nice enough moment. Captain America has embraced his identity as a soldier, Black Widow puts aside dreams of a different life, and they prepare to beat their new team into shape. The Scarlet Witch, Vision, and War Machine were all pivotal in the final battle against Ultron, and Falcon was also there. Now, none of them are losers exactly, but they don't quite have the star power of an Iron Man, Thor, or Hulk. And at the time the scene was shaping up, Sony and Marvel were actually in talks about bringing Spider-Man into Marvel's cinematic universe, and a Captain Marvel movie was at the pitch stage. Whedon was naturally enthusiastic about the chance to debut Spider-Man and another female superhero in the final moments, but talks stretched on as they do, and when the deal was finally done, it was too late for Whedon to film even the merest 2-second glimpse of Spider-Man dangling in the background. Number 4. The first movie only had one villain. Oddly, Whedon felt that the first outing was a little underpopulated. While he always felt Loki should be the mastermind, he worried it needed a second villain to balance the scales of power and make things a little tougher for the heroes. It was the one battle I lost completely, Whedon said. I definitely felt like I had Earth's mightiest heroes, I had 4 of the biggest, baddest, toughest guys out there, and I had 1 British character actor. The studio believed very strongly that they didn't want to add more mythology. I wasn't going to argue in the end. With no external threat, Whedon had to spend more time on the Avengers fighting each other, leading to exhilarating fight scenes and a more meaningful conclusion to the team finally coming together. Number 3. Marvel was as impatient as Quicksilver. If you thought the Avengers 2 was a little frantic, what with over a dozen main characters vying for attention, you should see what it would have looked like if Whedon had let the studio have its way. Initially, the original Thor cave scene was more visual, with the Norns possessing Thor and Selvig asking them questions, but it didn't play well to test audiences, and something had to go. The dreams were not an executive favourite either, stated Whedon. The dreams, the farmhouse, these were not things they liked, they were things I fought to keep. With the cave, it really turned into, they pointed a gun at the farm's head and said, give us the cave or we'll take out the farm. I respect these guys, they're artists, but that's when it got really unpleasant. Number 2. Coulson Died. Whedon knew it had to happen. The Avengers were wildly different people, each an alpha in his or her own way, and Loki barely even needed his magic scepter to get them to start snapping at each other. Coulson was the glue that held the team together without them realizing it. He was the one person Steve, Tony, Thor, Nick, and Natasha all liked and trusted, and his death gave the team the unity it so badly needed. The only problem was that Whedon had a certain reputation for killing off characters in his previous work. As he started Avengers, he'd hoped to get away from that tick, but Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige convinced him it was necessary. Sounds like a fun working environment, Joss. Number 1. Coulson Lives. Even as Whedon was filming Phil Coulson's death scene, he was planning to revive him and make him the star of TV's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But in an interview afterwards, Whedon seemed to have some regrets. The Coulson thing was, I think, a little anomalous, just because that really came from the television division, which is sort of considered to be its own subsection of the Marvel Universe. As far as the fiction of the movies, Coulson is dead. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the Whatculture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching.
Oh, hello there. I'm billionaire philanthropist, not Bruce Wayne, and as you may have heard, we've actually started up a Whatculture comics channel. Oh, that's better. Where you can go for all the comics lists, all the comics news, and all the comics discussion. So go and subscribe to Whatculture Comics for loads of amazing comics coverage.